Last February, we profiled a struggling, little-known band by the name of Bering Strait. For 5 years, they knocked on doors in Nashville trying to get noticed, but this year turned out to be a pretty good one for Bering Strait. In February, they released their first record and nabbed their first Grammy nomination. In a few months, their second record will be out. Bering Strait's sound is as pure and clean as the smell of fresh-cut bluegrass. Bering Strait, named after the waterway that divides Russia from America. But Bering Strait, the band, does the opposite. It connects them. Listen and watch, and you'll find out why.
Tell me if you feel like I feel when we touch. Does the fire build down in the soul, running out of control? Tell me tonight.
That straightforward style is the stuff of country music legend. But make way, Hank Williams and Patsy Cline. Make room for Natasha, Sergei, Sasha, Alexander, Ilya, and Lydia. The sound may be down-home American, but Bering Strait is pure Russian. We met them in Nashville's Ryman Auditorium, the mother church of country music, home of the Grand Ole Opry. Natasha Borsalova is the lead singer. It's been her steady job since childhood.
I started playing bluegrass when I was 10. And all we were doing is listening to tapes and trying to, we had these machines where we could slow down the tape and get every note that they're playing.
You speak almost without a Russian accent, but there's a bit of a Southern accent.
Well, yeah.
I
live in Nashville.
You're dropping your G's. You're dropping your G's.
I always play guessing games with everybody. They're like, where are you from? And I go, well, guess. And they go, up north. I'm like, oh, yeah, up north. Yeah, oh, yeah, very far to the north.
Ilya Toshinsky is the band's founding member. He's been dreaming of making it big in American country since he was 15. Not music to his parents' ears. In Toshinsky's hometown, physics is the local industry, nuclear physics. Like all of the members of Bering Strait, he comes from the city of Obninsk, population 100,000. This Russian footage was shot by Nina Gilden-Seavey for the documentary The Ballad of Bering Strait. Obninsk is not exactly your old Kentucky home. Under communism, because of nuclear research, it was a place so secret that most people didn't even know it existed.
We didn't have Obninsk on maps because it was
It wasn't on the map.
that how hush-hush it was back then.
Most of the band members are the children of elite Soviet scientists. Borzilova's mother helped design the first Russian space shuttle. The parents all wanted the same things for their kids: good educations, rewarding careers, and rigorous classical music education. For Bering Strait, that discipline did not lead to Brahms, it led to bluegrass. When 11-year-old Ilya Toshinsky heard an unforgettable sound, a tune by legendary banjo player Earl Scruggs.
That was the first time, and I totally fell in love. I begged my teacher to let me learn how to play banjo.
Toshinsky was a fast learner, and before long, other kids at the music school flocked to him. Another student, Sasha Ostrovsky, got so enthusiastic, he decided to take up, of all things, the dobro. No one in the school had ever seen anything like it.
It was like, wow, what's the name of it? Like dobro, they never saw it.
I used to, when I was not in the band, I used to come to them and ask them what that instrument was.
Lydia Salnikova is the band's pianist. Alexander Arzamatsev joined the band permanently after he finished military service. What did you do in the Army?
Artillerist. I was, of course.
As a drummer, right?
Yeah.
And most recently, Sergei Spooky Olkovsky on bass.
Spooky, the bass player from hell. That's what we call him.
In the early 1990s, in the final days of the Soviet Union, the bluegrass babies from Obninsk became a phenomenon. They drew crowds and hard currency.
And we'd play, and people came from all over the place to look at us, even hanging from the lampposts because they couldn't get a better look.
And you would what? You would pass the hat around?
Yeah, we just had the hat, and sitting there, and people would throw money. Oh, I made more than my dad, who was a head of a huge institute. I made more in a week than he made in a month.
The band played summer camps and appeared on Russian television, but they were little more than a novelty.
So at some point we decided to make a move and said, okay, well, we want to approach bluegrass and country music on the highest level. Where do we go? And it was obvious there was only one place in this world where you go to become a country musician, and this is Nashville.
And in 1998, they came here, to the Jerusalem of country music, to Nashville, Tennessee, where vast fortunes are made singing of heartbreak and loss.
There has never been a non-native English speaker make it in country music.
Robert Orman is the great recorder of the country music business, a columnist who's seen his share of broken dreams.
We have had Finnish acts here, German bands, French acts, Swedish acts. All kinds of nationalities have come to Nashville trying to make country music, and none of them have succeeded. So the deck is stacked incredibly high against these kids.
Once in Nashville, they thought they struck gold. They got a record deal, but it fell through, and then another. In 5 years, 4 labels picked up the band but collapsed before they could put out a record. Back in Obninsk, the parents were getting restless. Lydia's father makes no bones about his low opinion of his daughter's future.
Сегодня он музыкант, а завтра он безработный.
Today a musician, tomorrow unemployed. A parental remark as old as time. But so far, they're still working. But like most country bands, their biggest kick is playing for that Grand Ole Opry audience.
Ой, кудри вьются улица, ой, люблю Ваню молодца, ой, душек Ванюшка по Коринке похаживает.
It's yet another irony of the band's story that when they do play live, the showstopper is not country and western, it's country and eastern, an old Russian folk song called Perushka, set to a bluegrass beat.
Ушка ты меня, сударушка, высушила, без мороза да без ветру, сердце выставила.
I think the Russian folk thing is what sets them apart. That instrumental stuff they do is just dazzling. I mean, you listen to that stuff and you go, man, I mean, they're just so good.
Talent and perseverance seem to be paying off. In January, the Grammy nomination, the release of their first CD, and Bering Strait, the documentary, and an invitation to New York and a date at B.B. King's Club in Times Square. For any band to make it this far is an achievement. For the 6 kids from Obninsk, they've already hit the jackpot.
I was in Russia on the 6th of January. Nobody heard about us. Everything was still. On the 7th of January, sensation. Never heard before in the history. A Russian band getting nominated for Grammy. All the major TV stations, all the newspapers, everybody is talking about it. So I think with that kind of response, I think we can do some great things.
Is part of this success that you're having here as a group because you are Russian, because you are a kind of curiosity?
I think that, we'll have to see whether it's going to be a real success and whether it's going to last. Because any novelty like this wears off after, you talk about it for a couple of months, but the music still remains. So I really don't know what's going to happen, but I hope that our music is going to carry it, for years to come.